Ciao everybody, my name is Joee Balestieri. I'm so excited to be working with Jessie James Beads again today and really creating with the July Magical Mystery Bead Box. It is themed after a classic Shakespearean play, the original romantic comedy from I think in the 1500s called Midsummer Night's Dream. This was one of the strands in the box and there were doubles of this. So I have cut some of that open. I'll show you what I have left of the second strand. I'm just playing with all of these stacks. So if you know a little bit about the theme of this box with that play, it takes place in an enchanted forest with a king and a queen, and it's not a love triangle, a love quadrangle, I think you call it. There's 4 people involved. So we have the bead mix here, King Oberon, and I also have this gorgeous bead mix, Queen Titiana. And I'm just pulling a little bit from everything here, and then I'm also going to be cutting open this strand of amethyst nuggets, Met My Moonlight, and the famous line from this play, love never did run smooth. Hopefully my necklace project will run smooth. So I'll just leave that cut open there, and then there are these gorgeous flower and very enchanted flower looking head pins in the box. There's enough here to do just a really gorgeous drops, which is what I'm going to do. So I have already created one of the drops, just stacking those flowers, and I did a couple more because I'm going to make these enchanted floral drops and doing an odd number. So I have a couple left to show you what I did, but just I played with my stacks with my head pin, the crystal rondelle spacers. I've alternatively pulled from both mixes. And so I'll show you, we're going to need to prepare these guys first. Super simple. I'm just putting a bend in there and making a fairly large simple loop at the top of each one. Just get that loop centered over the flower and snip and close that really well. Little bit of work hardening, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Just give it a little bit of a bend, about 90-degree bend, and just put a really nicely centered simple loop. Okay, so these drops are going to be strung on my focal of my necklace like that. So I designed them so that the shortest one is on the outside, then a bit longer, and then longer, and I'm going to put those in the stringing with some jump rings. And if you didn't notice, I'm going to pleasingly alternate gold and silver through the entire piece. So let's see, I'm going to attach a jump ring to each one of my drops so that when I start stringing, they are ready to go right onto the bead stringing wire. So the only thing that I decided to do here is take, for the very middle drop, the really dramatic enchanted forest, is a larger jump ring. Okay, my enchanted flower drops are ready for stringing, and now I'm going to use some 49 strand bead stringing wire, and I think I'm going to go ahead and trim off the spool so that I can thread from both sides. If I have any scraps left of my bead stringing wire, I am okay with that because I love to use them for components, and I have a scrap bag. So I'm going to start in the middle with my middle drop. I'm going to put that on and let it drop down to the very middle of my bead stringing wire. And now I'm going to start designing, and I really wanted a large jump ring here, so I'm going to see if I have a nugget bead or a bead that I can put here that will keep that center jump ring from going anywhere. I want it to stay in the middle. See how this will work. Okay, I think I like that. And then I'm going to do a gold spacer and then 2 nuggets. Then I'm going to go to my next size drop and then 2 more nuggets. And then my last little enchanted flower drop and then 2 more nuggets. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. I'm going to set my dishes out of the way. Okay, so the little design decisions that we make along the way, I didn't like 2 beads in between my enchanted flower drops. They were a little bit too far apart, so I just backed my stringing down and did 1 bead in between each of the drops. And now I'm going to add some sparkle to this focal section of my necklace. I'm just loving the way it looks, and I'm going to continue to pull from both mixes. I moved my dishes out of the way so that you could see what I'm doing, and I'm evenly mixing gold and silver on this piece, so I'm going to splash in some silver spacers along the way. And I think I do want to use up my nuggets that I have here, or at least most of them. And these rhinestone accent beads are so gorgeous with the dark purple. So I'm going to just string both sides all the way until I've used up the supplies that I have out here, and both sides will look pretty much that they will look the same. Not pretty much, they will look the same. So to transition up into what is going to be the chain part of my necklace, I am going to pull in a couple of the elements that are in my enchanted drops. So these cloisonne beads, and let's see, something is amiss here. I need a silver spacer. I'm just pulling in some of the beads that are happening in my drops below so that there's like a really pleasing cohesiveness to the design. And I am just about ready to crimp. This is stunning. It is sparkly and it does look like an enchanted forest. I love it. Okay, I'm going to be using this chain reaction to complete the back of my necklace, and I need to grab some crimp tubes. Let me clamp off one side of my necklace before I get my little self in trouble and lose all my beads. I have 2 jump rings, I have a lobster claw clasp, I have 2 number 2 crimp tubes. That one looks like it has an issue. It happens sometimes. And I decided on this piece to finish my crimping with a little bit of French wire and also a crimp cover. And so let's get this chain open. I think I'm going to be using the entire length. And the chain reaction almost always comes with this amazing split ring here, but you really, if you want to cut it, you really want to be careful because it's a stainless steel ring. But I'm not going to cut it. I'm actually going to salvage it and put it in my stash, because it is wonderful to have a split ring if you're making a charm bracelet, if you're adding a charm on, and it's a really nice, good quality one. So this is ready to get attached here, and I just need to decide where my clasp is going to go, because I'll have to make a little cut in here, and I think, let me just lay it out and choose the spot that it's going to attach on either side. And right here is where my lobster claw closure will go. So now I have 2 equal sides of chain. So let's crimp the side that is not clamped off. I'm going to start by putting my crimp tube on, And then if you're not familiar with French wire, it is a teeny tiny little coil, and you don't need much of it. I'm just going to cut, I just eyeball it, but just like maybe 1/4 of an inch. And what I'll do, I guess, is go ahead so that both sides match. I'll go ahead and cut my other side as well. Just line it up and cut for my second side at the same time. Get my fingers out of the way. I can't even see what I'm doing, let alone you guys. Just line up those two lengths and come right here and snip. It's just this tiny, beautiful little coil, and when you pull your bead stringing material through it, it just looks really lovely. And I don't know, I just felt like, since this is based on an enchanted forest, that this would be a really good way to finish. So I'm just going to slide that down. Don't let it go down into my crimp tube, and I don't want my crimp tube to go down into my first cloisonne bead. Just going to make a loop, go back through the crimp tube and through a couple of my beads. And so here, before I do this, I'll just tell you, you could attach your chain directly, and sometimes I do that, but I really prefer to get a jump ring and add a jump ring so that if I ever want to change out my chain, or, you know, also you get a little bit more movement. So I am going to go ahead and make this loop and crimp it, and then I'm going to attach my chain to this loop with a jump ring. I tend to go for the jump rings because if you ever do have to do a repair on a piece of your jewelry, it's so easy. And my cloisonne bead is hollow, so sometimes it's a little tricky to feed things through a hollow bead because they get sort of lost inside the bead. So if you're doing this, just take your time, you'll get it. There it goes. And since my other side is not crimped off, I don't have to worry about, you know, really I don't have to worry about anything as far as spacing goes just yet, but I am gonna like feed this down just to kind of hold that in place, since I fed my wire back down through that hollow tube. And this time I'm going to use my Xuron crimping plier. So I'm going to fit that tube in the back divot of the tool and just fold it in half, and then I'm going to finish folding it, just gently work my way up to the top. And you can put your crimp cover on at the very end, that's fine. I'm going to come to this side and do the exact same thing. Feed on my crimp tube and then my little piece of French wire that's measured out to match the other side. I love French wire, and I do sort of forget about it sometimes, but I really love the way that it looks. You could also use a wire guardian here. And sometimes I even string seed beads right over my final loop. I have a rough end on my wire, so my French wire is not wanting to go through. So just give myself a clean end and go again. Okay, same thing on this side. Just going to make a loop, go back through my number 2 crimp tube and wiggle my wire through my cloisonne bead. These hollow beads can be a little tricky, but that one went right through. I love it when that happens. And I'm going to come out right there and just get a hold of my loop here and just get everything in place. And before I crimp on this side, I want to make sure that it's not too tight. I still want my necklace to be really fluid, and check and just make sure there's no unwanted space in between my beads. It looks so great, and the drops, the enchanted floral drops on this are absolutely stunning. I just love it so much. Okay, same thing on this side. Stop playing with your necklace, Joey, and crimp. I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm going to come underneath my crystal rondelle spacer and snip. So I'm going to put one jump ring on this side and have my sides to be, want my two chain sides to be the same. So I have to lose one more. I have to lose one more link at the back of my chain. There's a little pattern in the links on this chain, and I want both sides of my necklace to be the same, but I absolutely love it when I have these extra bits of chain because they are perfect for earrings. So look at that. We have just what we need to make a pair of earrings. Okay, I'm going to feed this onto my jump ring and close it. And then on this side, I'll put my lobster claw clasp with a jump ring. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side of my necklace, only this side will get another ring for the lobster claw clasp to grab onto. This is so gorgeous. Okay, let me clean up a little bit. Okay, and I want to add my little crimp covers, and I chose gold crimp covers because I'm alternating gold and silver through the whole piece, and so I'm going, into silvers. So just alternating this with silver, so I decided to do a gold crimp cover, and I'm just going to fit that over my crimp tube and really gently close it, kind of go from side to side. Don't be too aggressive, just little small movements with your pliers, and trick the eye by closing up that seam. So it looks like it's a regular bead. Look how gorgeous that transitions from the beads into the chain, the French wire, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, we do the same thing on this side. I love this necklace. Okay, since we had some chain, I paused and made a little sample earring. So it's just a little drop that kind of incorporates everything from the necklace and saving that little scrap of chain that we cut away. And it's again gold and silver mix. So in my little pot here, I have a ball head pin and all the ingredients. So I'm going to start with the cloisonne bead on the bottom, and then a crystal rondelle spacer in silver, and then one of these gorgeous green faceted rondelles, and then a little gold spacer. Whoops, it's grabbed onto my chain. A gold spacer, and then a little faceted bicone in that enchanted green. And this time I'm going to do my simple loop rather small because it's connecting to a really small loop on the chain. So I'm just going to use the more down on the tip of my pliers this time. When I made these drops, I was working here. Just going to get a little simple loop and get everything centered while it's still on my plier, so my earring hangs nice and straight. And then I'm going to come right where the two wires meet and snip right here. And before I close it, really well and work hard in it. I'm going to open it and add it to this little scrap of chain like I did the other one, and now close that tiny little simple loop. And I like to open and close my pliers with a little force to work harden and take a little second to straighten out the drop, straighten everything out. And you know, it no longer looks like a scrap of chain. It's so pretty. I'm just going to open my ear wire and add my other link of chain to the loop. Make sure that's closed really well. And we got a gorgeous gold and silver drop earring to go with this stunning necklace. I will put some pictures up at the end. You guys check out the links in the description box. The Magical Mystery Bead Box is just so wonderful, and this month was no exception. I love the theme. It's like the romantic comedy from, you know, centuries ago. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, friends.